Okay, for this first video, we are just going to do an introduction to spreadsheets. So if you are in Google Drive, it's helpful if you go to the folder where you want to keep this. So you should have an Altitude Maps or A2 Maps folder in your drive. So you can make a new folder in your drive and call it A2 Maps. And then you can list the school year or whatever. And then when you make that folder, then within that folder, you can make another folder for Unit 1. And then in that Unit 1 folder, if you hit New and you start a new document, it will automatically be stored in that folder. So it's important for you to to be digitally organized. So we are going to do that. Okay, so now I have a new spreadsheet. So I'm going to start by just introducing you to this. I'm going to title the spreadsheet as Unit 1 Project. Oh, actually, I'm going to put my last name first initial because you will be turning this in. So my last name first initial is this. You would put your own last name and first initial, and that is the title of the spreadsheet. Now with spreadsheets, every little rectangle is called a cell. So this cell is called C3, which you can see right over here. It says C3. That is because it is column C and row 3. If I wanted to highlight the whole column C, I could click up here and that's all of C. See up here it says from C to C. And if I wanted to highlight all of row 3, I could click here and it would highlight all of row 3. If you wanted to highlight the whole spreadsheet, you could do that. For example, all of your teachers do not really like this default font, so we could pick a different font, like maybe Comforta is one that we all like. And making it bigger would be nice. So I'm going to go to maybe 12 or 14 point font. So now this is in a nicer font. Okay, but I don't want it to say Comforta. I actually want it to say what this spreadsheet is about. So this is a budgeting spreadsheet. So I want to call it zero-based budget. Okay, and the point of a zero-based budget is to look at income and then look at expenses. So I'm going to write down different avenues of income. Maybe I want this font to be at 12. You have your paycheck. Sorry, I'm not in there. Okay. Your paycheck. And then maybe you have other avenues of income. Okay, it's probably not great to make the whole thing 14, so I'll make the whole thing 12, and I'll just make this guy bolded and 14, and I'll make this guy bolded and 14. All right, so I'm going to put my total amount of money for my paycheck and other, and then I'm going to put my expenses. Oh, you know what? I think I want a little column in between this. So I'm going to go up to the C, and I can either do a right click, which I can do with 2 fingers at once to get this menu, or I can click on this little arrow and I'm going to insert a column left. But I really just want it for space, so I can make it a little smaller, and I can make the whole thing kind of like, you know, a gray color. Like I'm not going to put anything there, but it's just to create a little space. Okay, so my expenses, I also want the total money. And I think I want to make this whole row bolded. And so now it is bolded. Actually, I think I also want to center it. If you wanted to, you could use different colors. And notice that the end of zero-based budget goes on to the next cell, but it's really all supposedly in cell A1. So up here, you can see what's written in cell A1. And if you click on cell B1, there is nothing up here. So that is a overflow situation where you go to format, it is overflowing, and that's okay. We'll talk about other formatting things in a little bit. Okay, so on your project, it says, so let's see, I'm actually going to, I don't know what is happening here. I'm actually going to add a sheet where I am going to just put this in here for you so that it's easy for us to look at. You don't need to do this part. This will be in your packet, but it's got Rafi's receipts and Lily's receipts, and it says you will be making a zero-based budget for Rafi and comparing it to Lily's zero-based budget printout. The printout is in your packet. Every dollar should be assigned to a category, and your budget for Rafi should have the same list of categories that are on Lily's budget. So on Lily's budget, you actually have all these categories already there. So we're going to show you how to do this on Rafi's. So we're going to put the same ones. I'm actually going to double click down here and call it Rafi's budget. Okay, I feel like this guy's in my way. I'm gonna move him. All right. So I want to put those categories in. I have no idea why there are two of these menus down here. I'm going to put these categories in under expenses. Oh, sorry, that's housing. So I'm just typing. If you don't have to hit the delete, if you just type over something, it will type over it. But notice I put housing and utilities and it overflowed, and I want that to be wider. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to just drag this over to widen that column. And then this one is going to be, so I can just click on it and start typing. Transportation. Then I have groceries. Restaurants. I'm just copying the categories from the project that are already in Lily's budget. So again, I went over a little, so I'm going to drag it to the right. The other thing you could do is just double click on that little, like double click right here, and it'll automatically make it the width that you want. And then, whoops, clothing, and then other. It's always good to have an other or miscellaneous category. Okay. So I have put that in. Now I am going to be totaling up my income and my expenses. So I'm going to skip a line and I'm going to write total expenses. And I really want that to be bold. So I think I'm going to actually change it to a different font. I like the font Anton. You can choose what you would like. And then this one is going to be total income. And again, I'm going to change that also to Anton. And I want this to fit. So it's going to be bigger. Actually, it fit now, the zero-based budget, which is fine. And then I really want to highlight this. So I'm going to use borders to highlight that box and highlight this box. And then I want the difference between my income and my expenses. So I'm just going to do the little font change and the little border highlighting to really make it pop. Okay. So now you have all these receipts from Rafi, but they're not all obvious. Like, where should Starbucks go? Where should the student loan go? Where should Grubhub go? So I'm going to show you on Lily's budget how I did the calculations differently. So I'm going to add a grayness to this column to just add a little space. And then I'm going to take all of these and I'm going to copy them up here. So what I'm going to do, this is a nice little trick. I'm going to highlight these and I'm going to copy. So you can do Control C, or you can like do a 2-finger click and hit copy. And then here, I'm going to do a 2-finger click and I'm going to paste special. I'm going to paste transposed. What that does is it turns the columns into rows. And so I'll come up here and just make them the right size. I can just click these. And you will see soon that on Lily's, when I show you how I made Lily's, you will see that I made this red. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of this. You can do that with your mouse or with your keyboard by holding down Shift. I'm going to highlight these and just make them a different color, whatever color you want. Now, some of these, I don't want them to be so wide. So the other option too is to format it and wrap the text. And then if you make this a little less wide, it'll just wrap it onto the next line. So like health insurance premium, I'm going to do the same thing. So I should have done that maybe before I made everything wider. This is just a little bit of how you can play with a spreadsheet to make it look better for yourself. So now this column doesn't need to be quite so wide. So I can format all of them at once and make them wrap the text, or I can just do a little at a time. This way I can kind of see everything in one screenshot. Okay, so I'm not going to do it for Rafi's budget, but I'm going to go through and do this now for Lily's budget. So we're going to do this together for Lily's in the next video, and then you can use that to do it on your own for Rafi's.